What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode and edition of the Wrestling Hour right here, first on adfreeshows.com. Can't forget our boys and girls at Ad Free Shows. Thank you guys so much each and every week for touting us and tweeting at us and making sure we feel just as special as those mediocre hosts like Eric Bischoff and, Connor.
No.
Anyway, it's Dave Sturchio. It is Josh Shernoff here for another loaded week. We will be available on the MyFandom YouTube channel in just a few days. Josh, how are we doing? Big week coming up for you, sir. I would say how you feeling, but it's more how your client or whatever you call him, Danny Moff, heading into a cage match at ISPW this weekend against Crowbar, and you will be in his corner in Hackettstown. But the biggest reason why you forced yourself onto this show is because one, Bret the Hitman Hart will be in attendance, and I know you're a big Bret guy. So how you feeling going into the big week?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, you see even a Bret Hart action figure right up there. I got some other ones that are mint on card.
The pink stands out.
I got some mint on card that I am not going to bring for him to sign because I'm going to bring them to Squared Circle Expo for him to sign there, where I'm a much bigger part of the event and
plant the seed this week.
Yeah. Excited for that. As far as things, client or whatever, I've never really known what to do. They call me the benefactor. I like to think of myself as just an investor, right? Okay, so I've invested in Danny Moff and his career. I've invested in Sean Donovan. And just, probably the greatest investments I've ever made professionally or personally. So,
wow.
I invest in them, and it's funny, as the market goes down and down and down, man, you invest in Sent to Slaughter and Devastation Inc., it's always going up. So
Devastation Inc., huh? Yeah. They seem like they're on a good path. Seems like the last time we saw your boy Trax of Devastation Inc., he was losing to Tommy Invincible at WrestlePro.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw it.
That's not canon. WrestlePro's not canon.
And anyway, yes, very big.
No, excited for it though. You'll be at the show too.
Yeah, I weaseled my way on there. I pulled a Shernoff and I said, "Hey, do you think I can come? Please." No, I hit up Tommy Fierro, told him I was interested in seeing the card because it is a stack card. I mean, they really did load it up, and I'm not sure of the extent of the injury. But GKM is relinquishing the ISPW championship.
I did not know
due
that.
to an injury. So yeah, so there's a blockbuster, I want to say main event for the vacated championship. So that'll be good.
Wait a minute. So the championship, the cage match is now for the championship?
You wish.
Crowbar versus Danny Moff, former champions.
You wish, buddy. No, it's but also in action, and it's funny because Danny Moff's got that match with Crowbar as part of Sent to Slaughter, and his other counterpart to Sent to Slaughter, Mr. Sean Donovan, is going one-on-one with the Now's Vic Delicious. So I'm very excited to see that one as well, because you don't typically see Vic in singles action. So I'm very curious to see how that works out. So you might want to get your ass out there twice.
I will be. Oh, you don't think I have my Sean Donovan tie pressed and ready to go? I will be in Sean Donovan's corner as well.
I tell you what, if Hale don't show up, maybe I'll jump in the corner of Mr. Vic Delicious. What do you say? Huh? What do you say? But listen,
you know what? They actually told me that the ringside area is kind of crowded, and there's only room for one.
But listen,
I do want to say about Danny Moff real quick. I just want to say, sure. I'm not going to name any names, but was having a conversation with a WWE superstar.
Is it by any chance the one you posted a picture of?
Well, I can't confirm or deny that, but I will say this: I spoke to several that were not pictured, and one of them, specifically in mentioning Danny Moff, goes, "Why is he not anywhere?" And
by any chance, again, I'm just trying to peel through the tea leaves here. Is by any chance somebody that said, "I love Danny Moff," or no?
No, listen, everybody loves Danny Moff. No, but I just shout out to him. It was his birthday. Not Danny Moff, but Jacob Fatu. Not saying Jacob Fatu is the one who said it. But the question, when you've got WWE superstars looking at Danny Moff going, why is he not anywhere? And, a lot of people wonder, why is he not at AEW, right? In Ring of Honor there. That
is literally, and we went over this on the Fight Factory podcast. Payne went on.
Payne went off on that. It was great.
because you look at a guy like Danny Moff, and people, the ones that make me nuts are these goober, fans that think that they know everything about pro wrestling, but then when you mention Danny Moff, they say who.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you, an owl? Like, no, like, what do you mean who? Like, do some freaking research.
I just got that. What are you, an owl? Good God, man.
That's my dad. That's my dad. That's the dad in me, and that's my dad telling me that. Mm-hmm. I can hear him that saying.
Oh,
but
man.
no,
I wish I wasn't stealing that, but I'm definitely going to steal that.
You can listen. Papa Sturch has a couple one-liners that you'll definitely steal over time. But anyway, Danny Moff, it's criminal, really. It doesn't make much sense to me why he's not there. I have my theories as to why he's not there. It's stuff that I'll not put on the air, put into the universe, because I just don't want to stir up that kind of controversy. But I will say, when you look at a guy, the body of work of somebody like Danny Moff, just over time, there's not a time, and I remember this specifically. I could share this one thing where it's one story right before WrestlePro. There was a tables match, I believe he was booked for, and there was no tables at the venue, right? So now that he's like, well, so now he's
gonna last forever.
Well, this was all pre-show, and he's disappointed, and he's looking around. He's like, man, they wouldn't even, they can't even supply tables, for a tables match. Well, he goes, yeah, whatever, I'll just go out and do my thing. I'll coast through this one. I said, Moff, there's not a chance that what the word coast means. There's no chance that what it's like to not give it everything you have. There's never been a match where I said Danny Moff's gonna mail this one in because he's just not interested. He made it work. They made it a doors match or whatever, or maybe one table was in play. But Danny Moff is the kind of guy that will adjust, adapt, do anything in his power to make sure the show is just that much better. And look, he's older now. He's in his, if I want to say, into his wrestling career, he's probably on the back nine, in my opinion. But he's still delivering each and every time. He's like a crowbar. Like these guys, every time they go out there, which these guys have done bad. I can't wait to watch that cage match. It's going to be fantastic. But these guys have gone out of their way to continue to add to their legacy of the professional wrestling game. Crowbar obviously having a little bit more fame in the early 2000s with WCW. Danny Moff just never got that shake. He got that Ring of Honor run to put himself on the map, but then all of a sudden, Ring of Honor goes away, and then he's got to find himself on the independents, and he did that. He did that, man, with Jersey All Pro and just Monster Mac and all these, his tag team partner. These guys, Moff is the kind of guy that will carry a brand, and that's why for me, not peeling back the curtain too much, but like for me, it was a no-brainer to make him our first champion at Fight Factory. You know what I mean? Like that's the dude I want representing my company because of all he's done for the business. And I didn't want this to turn into the Danny Moff show, but sometimes, it's just criminal to think about the opportunities that he hasn't been given because he's definitely earned them. And if, the fact that we know people behind the scenes and he's still not getting these opportunities goes to show you that there's some kind of personal vendetta. And that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, but hey, you know what? One person's loss is another person's gain. And that person is, Tommy over at ISPW, and I guess the people are everybody in the audience when they get to watch Danny Moff live at I want to call it Hackenschmidt, whatever.
Hackettstown, Hackettstown High School.
Hackettstown High School, when Danny Moff destroys Crowbar inside a steel cage this Friday night. I'm looking forward to it. I'll have a front row. I'll be right there to help him, to watch him.
So I have to now. This is a perfect segue.
Thank you.
Big time steel cage match coming up on Friday. Now, big time cage match just went down on Monday. CM Punk, Seth Rollins cage match. I don't mean to be the clickbait guy or make these hot takes to get some clicks, because I actually genuinely feel this way.
Okay, I was going to tell you that's actually how you further your career, so maybe you should.
Right. I watched that match on Monday in its entirety, start to finish. And I said, halfway through, I said, this is really good, right? Then at the end, look, you and I both know, we've talked about this at length, of like how many false finishes can you possibly have, right? This one was done in such a way that after that last false finish, I said, this is probably the greatest cage match I've seen in a really, really long time. And I was just captivated by the entire thing, the story, the anger, the animosity towards each other. You felt it with every move. Stealing moves, doing the go to sleeps, doing the stomps, just stealing each other's shit. And I'm just like, man, this is great. And then the ending happens. Roman comes down there, gives Seth the win, believe it or not, which is like, what? And then you see the wise man in the ring with Punk saying, like, you okay, buddy? How's that cage match? And you got Roman over there like, I'm sorry, what's happening?
And I love how Roman just starts smiling as he's walking into the ring.
Yeah, like, he's just like, I'm gonna murk this dude. Like,
I'm gonna have to kill him now. I didn't want to, but now I got it.
And again, shout out to the WWE marketing team and merch team. You went from selling out of OTC shirts to now switching it to YTC because he's now your tribal chief instead of original tribe. And now they're going to make a killing on that too. So shout out to those guys. They might know what they're doing.
Oh, just a little bit.
But Josh, your thoughts on the cage match from Monday Night Raw on Netflix, which again, Netflix. Remember, you are Netflix. You don't have to black out the screen when somebody flips somebody off. You don't have to do that anymore. We can go with it.
You know,
I get why they did it, but it's like at the same time, like, let it go, man. It's fine. It's
okay.
It's
so. Yeah, but let's let Cody say, "Go fuck yourself."
Well, that was on Peacock, but yeah,
it was also on Netflix. And I gotta say, I'm watching it, and I see this kid holding up a sign in the audience. It says, "Look, Mom, I'm on Netflix."
Please don't curse.
No. It says, "Look, Mom, I'm on Netflix." This was at the Elimination Chamber.
Oh, so he's wrong.
I'm watching. I'm like, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then it hit me. They were in Canada. In Canada, outside the U.S., all these premium live events are on Netflix.
What?
Yeah. WWE Network is gone. It's now all this shit is on Netflix. So that kid wasn't wrong.
Canada doesn't have Peacock?
No. I don't know that they don't have Peacock, but they don't have WWE is not on Peacock in other countries.
So when companies like Triller or Triller TV or anybody like that, when they come out and they say international rights, that's what they mean? Like basically
so like when I worked at Fight
every day.
When I worked at Fight, and I used to do the stuff at AEW, and I would say, go to AEW. If you're outside the U.S., go to AEW Plus, to order now and everything, because we didn't have the U.S. rights. Now, Triller TV has the U.S. rights to AEW pay-per-views as well. But, it's all different markets. And a lot of that, when the Peacock deal was done, they were already deep into other deals in other countries because you have to remember, like, the business didn't just go like, okay, boom, now it's all streaming. Like we've changed, like Monday, everything else is done. All deals are null and void. And now, so you can't make a deal for international if you have, in India somewhere, you have an exclusive thing that's lasting 10 years, right? So that's where they're at. So so apparently that kid was not as stupid as I thought he was. But
it is moron.
I'm like, look at you, you stupid fool, you idiot, you dumb idiot. And then it turns out I was just yelling in a mirror. But the cage match, I thought was tremendous. I think I said this once before, and I want to clarify what it means, but we are getting AEW CM Punk. And what I mean by that is, for all the issues with CM Punk's AEW run, one thing you can't deny is that man came back and was just, after 10 years, was another level. He had leveled up in his time that he'd been gone. His work rate, in AEW, I thought was phenomenal. The matches CM Punk was having. I think were some of the best matches ever in AEW. And the stuff he did with MJF.
The dog collar match in itself, bro.
Yeah. So so now I feel like you are getting this grizzled vet CM Punk, and now it's that much better because WWE's production and WWE storytelling and all that. It is, I think, for a guy that called himself the best in the world and then disappeared for a decade, where there's 10 years worth of newer fans who go, why was he the best in the world? Right. And of course that's subjective and it's a tagline and I get it. But I feel like he's now going out there going like, this is what I meant, guys, you know? And oh, by the way, he's in there with a dance partner like Seth Rollins, who is also arguably one of the best in the world today at what he does. So,
yeah.
And then there's this deep hatred between the two that is like, you know, you're getting work shoot vibes here. Like we talked about the other, you know, the live rounds last week that were getting thrown. But it's two guys who I think, and it's reminiscent to me when I see some of these things with Punk, Drew and Punk and Seth and Punk and stuff. It reminds me of Brett and Sean.
Oh, I was just going to say that, dude.
Because,
yeah,
screw job aside, forget that specific moment. But if you look at that match leading up to the screw job, if you look at that Survivor Series match, it was hard hitting, it was great, but it was safe, it was snug, but it was those two, when they got in there, who just despised each other at that point, went in there with all that hatred, but the only thing that was stronger than their hatred was their professionalism. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, neither were taking advantage of each other. They were not taking liberties with each other in the ring.
I think it took like 10 minutes for them to get in the ring.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a lot of outside
stuff? Oh, all around. Yeah. And they just, so to me, I think you're seeing sometimes that anger and that frustration is there, that real life stuff that you know boils over, but you're getting this, you know, that married to professionalism. That's some of the best wrestling you can possibly get, you know. So
you talk about a way to book the ending to make everybody look as good as possible, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. By the way, Sean Ross Sapp said this online, and I wholeheartedly agree. There should be no way to win a cage match by walking out the door. I'm sorry. Like, let's be honest. Anybody can do that as soon as the bell rings. Open the door, hurry up, and like get out.
Yeah.
Your suspense of disbelief or reality, suspension of reality. And I'm just like, all right. The only way I like.
Remember, they still have the obstacle of the ropes to get through.
When the obstacle, listen to you. I'm saying, like, when they're crawling and they're like, and the door's like, ooh, the door's open. Fine, give me some dramatics, but the fact that you could just walk out the door and it's just like, yeah, come on, you know. So like,
yeah,
but it did lead to some of the story of the match, meaning, hey, door's open, I can get out of here and I can win right now. However, I hate this fucking guy so much that I'm gonna go back in there and I'm gonna hit everything else, all my other moves on him because I just hate him. So I get that part. That makes sense.
Also, what was Roman gonna climb to the top and then reach over and grab Seth and pull him up over the top and down to the floor? Like, you need, you know what I mean?
I didn't say a door shouldn't exist.
And also, I mean, come on, was Hogan back in the day? You can't expect that man's just going to climb the cage every single night, you know? Sometimes it doesn't work for him, brother, you know?
Yeah, King Kong Bundy, you know, guys like that.
King Kong Bundy, yeah, come on.
But yes, to kind of go back to the match itself, like I said, perfect ending. Everybody looked good. It's setting up what we would assume is a triple threat at Mania of some variation, but then it still leads me to believe, and I don't know how this is going to happen, but Josh, we live in a world where the triple threat happens night one and the winner is inserted into some championship main event the next night of
Here's why I'm going to say no.
I say no right now too, but I'm just like, how the hell is Punk go another year without headlining WrestleMania after all this bullshit?
Cody lost at WrestleMania and spent a whole other year building up to finish the story. I think there's so much more where Punk is now. It's not like you just were like, oh, you know, Punk's gonna wrestle Chad Gable this year at Mania. Like, we gave him a match. You know, remember WrestleMania once upon a time used to be shit like that, right? It was like, oh, we got nothing for him. We'll just put these two random guys together. Punk is like, okay, he doesn't get to main event WrestleMania, but it's not, but I mean, look, it's all, he wants to main event WrestleMania because we all know what the main event of WrestleMania is, right? But at the same time, all you're doing is putting more equity in that story because you have Punk in there. Let's say it is a triple threat. So you have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. I mean, how is that not a co-main event, right? In quality, in what people are looking for.
You could put both championship matches on Sunday, and
I mean, listen,
night.
You
can put that at the end and have that close night one. You really could.
Yeah, you absolutely could. What I wouldn't do is the win something to get the shot at the next night, just because we did that last year with a,
there was stipulations,
if you win, you get a stipulation, whatever. And I don't want to see that become a hard and fast rule, right? That like, oh, it's WrestleMania. Okay, who's going to have the night one stipulation that leads to night two? I just feel like Punk goes in there, has a great showing, and now you've got another year to build up to it. Like, I could see Punk winning next year, winning the Rumble. You know, I could see Punk working his way into a world heavyweight. There's a lot. Hey, we've also got Money in the Bank, which Punk has won twice and has cashed in successfully twice. Maybe he wins Money in the Bank this year and maybe calls his shot right then and there that he is going to cash in at WrestleMania in the main event. Done. That's it. Right? Like,
oh wow,
that's just, you know, off the top of my head, because, you know, I'm just geniusing over here. But the, you know,
that's a verb, by the way.
There's a lot. That's old Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah,
and would sit in his office. What are you doing? I'm just geniusing, baby. Yeah, I just, you know, to me, there's so much more story to be told. WWE is just at it's at its best right now. I turned on WrestleMania 17 the other day. I whipped out the cock and I turned on the Peacock app.
Okay, family show. All right.
And I tuned in WrestleMania 17, which is arguably the best WrestleMania of all time, right? And I'm watching. That's what a lot of people will say that.
Yeah, fine. It's up there.
But I'm like, this isn't even as good as last year's WrestleMania. Like it's in the, so sometimes nostalgia takes over, right? I know my favorite WrestleMania of all time. If I will shift gears to that, what is your favorite WrestleMania of all time? Yeah, what is your favorite, and what do you think is the best?
I'm a huge fan of WrestleMania 20. I'm a huge fan of WrestleMania 20. The triple threat main event, mention his name or not, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chris Benoit. It was really, really good. Maybe the best triple threat. Maybe the best triple threat match I've ever watched. Plus, you know, selfishly I'm a Brock guy, but obviously that match wasn't like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, that sucked. But then, like, you got, if I'm not mistaken, Guerrero, right? Like Guerrero too. It's stacked up there. That's probably what I think is my favorite. There's so many, right? There's so many WrestleManias where I'm like, man, that was the best. You know, like any WrestleMania, like for instance, WrestleMania at Safeco Field with Shawn Michaels and Jericho, right? And that was, it's a dark spot in my life. You know, I lost my dog that night, but like, you know,
about that. That's horrific.
Yeah. So, but like, again, incredible pay-per-view, right? And there's a lot of WrestleManias, and this is why they're WrestleMania, because it's just like so hard to pick one. I'd probably lean 20. I'm a Shawn Michaels guy, so it's like anything with Shawn in it, let's rock, you know? But would you say what's the best and I guess 17 is that, all right, so 17 off the top of my head is Stone Cold. No, it's not Stone Cold
Stone
Rock.
Cold and Rock. Yeah, that's
Stone Cold Rock.
My Way
Is
or the
that
Highway.
Shane Vince?
Yeah, this is like a week after they bought WCW.
Shane Vince. If Taker Flair? No.
That was 18, I want to say.
Okay, so but Taker somebody, whoever Taker wrestled was probably money. So like, yeah, 17 was probably
Triple
stacked
H.
to the gills. Triple H. So I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, so 17 is probably the best one if you want to talk about star power. But my favorite's probably 20. But now as we get into these late 30s, early 40s, I'm just like, and how do you top last year? We were there, bro.
Yeah.
We were there. When you're there in attendance. I was at a really bad WrestleMania, I think. WrestleMania 27 was bad. Atlanta, I didn't like it. It was Edge Del Rio opened the show. That was Edge retired the next day. And then the main event was, Cena and Cena and The Miz, with The Rock involved. And I'm just like, ugh, damn. And I went to that because I wanted to see Shawn get inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that's why I was there for that one. But I was like, oh, God, like the whole card was like, But yeah, man, as we get older, though, they just keep topping it and topping it and topping it. Like last year being there for both nights, it was just, how do you top that? Like if we're not there this year for whatever reason, right? If we're not there and we're watching it at home, how do you get better than last year if you know that you were there?
I don't know that you get better than last year in a lot of ways. I don't know, no matter what they do, and I'm sure they're going to do something that's going to be insane. There was a once in a lifetime raw emotion when Cody won that you can't replicate that.
Right, yeah.
There was the emotion for me personally watching Drew get his moment. And I put myself over real well texting with him right next to you after the match, and I was just like, yeah, man, I'm over.
And then he responded, and I was like, "What?"
I know. Little do you know, it was just I just changed. Yeah, it was my friend Matt. I just changed his name to Drew on the text.
Doing that. Like, yeah, it's like I got Cody on. I have Cody Rhodes' phone number in case anybody needs that.
Oh, yeah, actually, I do.
It's 555.
But I will say my favorite of all time is WrestleMania 9.
Caesar's Palace?
Yeah. Hands down my favorite.
Wow.
Not the best.
No.
Not going to say it's the best.
Listen, looking, maybe.
I love a Razor Ramon versus Bob Backlund match as much as the next guy, but no. But I just remember as a 9-year-old kid, so freaking hyped for that. And I just, it was, I remember, a Shawn Michaels thing that stands out to me. It was from, I don't know if it was Superstars or Mania or one of those shows like earlier in the day. And they go in and they interview him in his suite, right? Which was like Vince's suite or something because Shawn wasn't getting a suite. And he's like looking out over the pool, like out his window of his big suite. There's like a piano in there and they're interviewing him. And he's like, but all he's wearing is like, you'd think he's wearing like a swimsuit, but it's actually, because Shawn always did the short tights, the trunks over the tights look. The dude's just straight up only wearing the trunks. Like as though like that's what he's going to. And then part of me is like, I bet that man legit sat at the pool and got tan in nothing but his trunks because that's like kind of what wrestlers used to do all the time, right?
Yeah, before you could fake and bake,
yeah. So, but I just like I remember that stood out to me because I've always just been such like a gear fanatic that like I remember just being like, whoa, that's like short versions of his wrestling gear, and then that's when I was like, it's the short trunks that go over, and for whatever reason, I was like, that's really cool. I don't know that it was, but I thought it was cool.
Hey, Josh, by any chance, what was your favorite WrestleMania moment ever? Probably when I watched Shawn Michaels in his underwear.
Shawn Michaels in his short trunks. I'm talking no knee pads. I'm talking no boots. Squint your eyes
man.
and he's naked. I just, it was a moment I will never forget.
Shit.
But it was the whole thing there, just the Bobby Heenan coming out backwards on the camel, like it was phenomenal. So,
bro, if you go to my Easy Video credit card Easy Video membership, which was before Blockbuster, Easy Video in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And shout out to anybody who knows this if you're a New Jersey resident. The most rented video on my account was WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, it was
I like, watched that shit over and over and over again. So maybe I'm right there with you as far as favorite one for nostalgia.
People pan it as like, it was the worst WrestleMania ever and all that stuff. Dude, it's everything you have to put in perspective. I'm 9 years old. Yeah, the ending, I will remember going there and I'm like, I'm watching it now. I'm not getting hot at Hogan. Today I'm hot at Hogan for it, but right. I'm not getting hot at Hogan, but I am kind of like, when I'll never forget Jim Ross, he said, go for it, big man, and like, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, no. Brett got screwed here. Brett goes back in, let him wash out his eyes. Like Hogan goes in, beats him. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, Hogan's got to give Brett a title shot, like right away. Like, of course he's going to give him a title shot right away. Brett was screwed. Like this, hands down, this is what'll happen. But it didn't work for him, brother. And that didn't happen.
So also, since you know more than me as far as like behind the scenes and like deeper history.
Yeah.
Well, not most stuff.
A lot of things.
In wrestling, I'll give it to you. I'll give you your wrestling nostalgia. If there was a quiz, you would get an A+. I would get like a B+- minus. Right.
I'll take it.
So
I've always
why did Hogan have the shiner again?
Okay, well,
so
it depends on who.
The real story.
There's three.
Because him doing this,
stories,
like presenting the belt, right, or doing this, and it's like. His eye is just black, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
So there's three stories, right? There's the Macho Man beat the shit out of him story, which has pretty much been debunked.
All right.
There's the story that they had on camera, which was that Money Inc. Or like Money Inc. attacked him at the gym, like coming out of the gym or something. And then from what I've been told, the real story was that he was in a parasailing accident like a couple days before. Which I got to tell you, maybe the Mega Maniacs or whatever the fuck they were called, Brutus and Hogan. What if you don't go parasailing?
What if?
Like, not a good, like, what made Hulk Hogan go, oh, I should go parasailing right before I team up with Brother Brudeye and his big mask that he wears over his face, because when they had to peel his face down and reconstruct everything because of his parasailing accident. Like, what are you doing, Hogan? But yeah,
it's WrestleMania 9. That was also when we also saw the tallest man ever to be created, when it was the Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez.
Listen, I love that too. Fun fact,
you talk about gear. What the fuck?
You know what though? Again, everybody makes fun of it.
He's wearing pajamas.
But we remember it. We remember it.
Of course. Flesh colored.
Yeah. So I actually really liked when it had the fur on it. When it just became airbrushed, then I was like, then it kind of looked like a weird bodysuit and the fur almost like made it look like, okay, like what are we doing? Once it became airbrushed, you were just like, that's getting dangerously close to kind of looking like a unkempt vagina. Like this is not, that's not something I'm interested in seeing.
No, not at that age.
Least of all on Giant Gonzalez. But I that was something else. But fun fact, do you know when Undertaker was hit with the chloroform, when they got him with the chloroform, that they put over his face, remember Undertaker? They covered him by disqualification.
Right?
He won by disqualification because they put the chloroform. They could smell it from there, right on him. And I'm like, why are they putting color forms on his face? But, but the referee that got like almost dribbled like a basketball. Do you know who that was?
Oh, off the top of my head, Mike Chioda, Tim White. I don't know. Like
it was not.
Hebner.
It was a man that was calling it right down the middle, Daddy. It's Bill Alfonso.
Oh my God.
Yes. Fun fact.
How funny is that? That's some really funny shit.
Hey, you know who was in the audience?
Joe Gertner. No.
Efren.
Efren. Of course
he was there. He was there live.
Oh, he must have got a hell of a kick out of the Luger entrance with all the mirrors and shit. That guy looked like, speaking of Luger, I guess we can pivot. Dude, you want to talk about, listen, if you want to lose like a pound or two in water weight and you want a guy cry, go do yourself a favor and find the video of Lex Luger being told he's being introduced into the Hall of Fame. Because, man, and look, you and I both know this, as far as being within the media, wrestling media, stuff like that. Like, Chris Van Vliet has not only conducted some significantly amazing interviews, right? Because we all listen to him. I listen to him every week. I shot him a message the day I listened to the Luger interview. I said, bro, I was like, I know you've had a million stars on all your, podcasts, and you've talked to Cena and then this guy. And then, I was like, that might be my favorite interview you've ever done. He's like, wow.
And he wrote back, who is this? How'd you get this number?
This is a DM, by the way. I don't have his phone number. I do, but I must have lost it or delete. I don't know. Who cares? But what I will say,
I want to know the story behind you deleting Chris Van Vliet's phone number. Can we?
I don't think I ever had it, honestly.
What did he do?
I don't know. But I said, I was like, this is one of the greatest interviews you've done. And then all of a sudden, a week later, Lex gets the call from the Hall, and I'm like, wait,
got the CVV rub.
Would this have happened, Josh, had CVV not done that interview?
I think so. And that's not taking anything away from Chris, because he did an amazing job. But I think this has been in the works, and I think they've been kind of keeping tabs with DDP of like how's his progress going and stuff.
All right.
Because I know it was important. It was important to Lex or to DDP or both that Lex be able to walk and stand up for his acceptance.
Right.
Like that was kind of like a goal that I hope he's, capable of doing. We know he can stand up at least. I don't think anyone would be offended if I don't know if anyone would be offended if he sat during it, you know what I mean? But he'll at least be able to stand up and like he stood up and hugged Cody and stuff. What I will say about Lex, though, I had never met him back in the day. WrestleMania 9, man, I was not thrilled that morning at breakfast he hit Bret Hart with the exposed forearm, which is why Bret was not in 100% to go against Yoko anyway, or he would have seen the rice coming. But Lex, I had never met Lex before.
I have.
I had. Stay with me.
Oh, hadn't before that.
I had never met him before his I was gonna say accident. It wasn't an accident. It was a freak issue that took place. That landed him in his current physical condition. What I will say is, the couple times that I have interacted with him since, one time is saying hi to him at the airport, or not the airport, the hotel. I was with Mike Weber from Fight, and they've known each other obviously for years and went over and said hi and everything. But the first interaction I ever had with him was interviewing him at a WrestleCon. It was my first job with Fight, and I went over and interviewed him. And the thing that stood out to me was we were getting ready to do the interview. I'm talking to him. We're getting ready to sit down. And I had one of the Zoom, microphone things, and the battery died. And so Calvin had to run back to the table, get new batteries, switch it out. And I'm sitting here. This is my first job with Fight. And I'm like, come on, Josh. Like, damn it. Rookie mistake. What are you doing? And I'm just like, I am so sorry for this, whatever. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then he and I just sat and chatted for a while Calvin fumbled around trying to get, the batteries in there. And we were chatting for a while, and he's telling me stories about how Mr. Perfect used to just pull the little threads off of his narcissist gear, like
the tassels?
The tassels. And he's like, they'd be like in a match, and Perfect would just be like, just pull them off. So he would like get to the back afterwards, and it's like a bald spot of the tassels and stuff.
That's great.
But I remember a guy that always had that reputation of being like, oh, he's a pain in the ass. He was, kind of whatever. He was so, when I'm like, I'm so sorry, he's just got to get this thing. And he wasn't, and he actually, another part of the story was getting ready to leave. And I was like, oh, do you have just a minute for an interview? He's like, yeah, sure. And then the whole thing. And I even said to him, I was like, I know you got to go. He's like, no, don't worry about it. And like, this is a dude who is literally in a wheelchair at this point. Like, what he was physically having to go through just to be there for an all day. You know what it's like to be at a WrestleCon all day. Yeah. And you're not signing autographs.
And you know what?
When you're
not for nothing. Outside of Lex, there's probably a lot of guys that would probably like, nah, I don't got time for this shit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
There's some miserable old wrestlers out there.
But I'm thinking about Lex. He's spending the whole day signing autographs. He's as he said in the interview, a high functioning paraplegic. Like, I guarantee you, like, you and I have signed autographs at a table before. And after a little while, the hand cramps and you get tired. Promise you, we've never signed in our lives as many autographs as Lex Luger signed that one day, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy who can barely move his hand at the time. And it's just, I'm just looking at it going, so to me, that always stood out to me of just the guy that he is today. Never knew him before, but people can change and people can grow. And the human being that I met that day and that I've interacted with a couple times since then is so deserving of this honor to be in the Hall of Fame. His career speaks for itself. Should he be a Hall of Famer? Hands down, not even a question of what he's accomplished in his career. It's not even a conversation. But the human being, I could not be happier for this guy, who he is today, with everything that he's been through and what he's come out on the other side of. And so, yeah, so congratulations to Lex Luger. Super excited for it.
September 14th, 2012. Young Dave
it is
Destruction.
March 2nd. Oh, okay.
September 14th, 2012. Young Dave Destruction had his first ever professional wrestling match at the Rawway Rec Center, where I won a student battle royal. I threw 25 other jerk-offs over the top rope, and I won the damn thing. Wow. Who was in attendance? Who was the main star besides Mr. Belding of Saved by the Bell? Lex Luger. So he was on my first card. He's on the first poster that I have ever wrestled on. So, like, he has a spot in my heart. And I've interacted with him briefly after, years passed. And anytime I've ever said hello, it's always greeted with a smile. It's very hard. Like, think about that for a second. If you're watching this at home or you're listening to this on the podcast or however you're viewing this, like, think about the fact that, like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, ugh, work sucks, or my life is terrible. Like, how on earth can you say a word when you know that there's a guy like Lex Luger who had the body of a Olympic god for a while, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden a catastrophic injury happens and now he's confined, and not confined anymore because he's making significant progress. But imagine complaining about your life and then Lex Luger going through what he's going through, where he had to completely look at himself in a completely different way for the rest of his life, and it's like, I think it's time to stop complaining. I don't know. That's just me. Listen, we all have bad days, right? But think about it. Think about what Lex Luger, a professional wrestler, a guy that looked like he just was chiseled out of stone. And all of a sudden he is, withered down to nothing almost.
Yeah.
But yet still keeping this positive mentality, the spiritual, he's a very big Christian. You're right. He's a believer in God and everything that he's doing for him. It's just a sight to be seen. And I cannot wait. Just like last year when we went last year to see Heyman's speech. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see Lex Luger's speech at the Hall of Fame this year. I cannot wait to see it.
But you will, because the Hall of Fame starts at 10 p.m. Pacific time. So
Wow.
If
so that's really good.
So if you're there, maybe if you're in Vegas, maybe you're there and maybe you're enjoying it, or maybe you're even in a hotel watching it in Vegas. But if you're on the East Coast, brother, I mean, I'm not staying up to watch it.
Oh, I went the other way. No, if it's 10 o'clock Pacific, it's 7 Eastern, buddy.
No, that's not how time works. It would be it would be 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it goes back. It goes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard daylight savings time is done. Thanks, Mr. President.
It is not.
You know what? I don't even like it. We're getting rid of it.
Yeah, he did not. But I
will listen. I'll record it if I'm not able to function at that time of night.
No, I mean, I plan on watching it the next day unless, there is rumor and innuendo, as the kids say, that...
The kids say that?
Conrad. But
I was gonna say innuendo?
There's some rumor and innuendo that we could potentially be out there. And if that's the case, I wouldn't be opposed to figuring out how we find ourselves at the Hall of Fame.
Did it last year. Listen.
And this year it's not in the ring. It's not at SmackDown.
Oh no?
It's going to be in a
Sphere?
No, it's in like it's going to be on a stage, like in like a I don't know what kind of venue, a different venue. They do concerts and stuff like that, but it's like
I get it. All right, so it's not the ring.
Square foot, whatever. I don't know.
Fine. It's not. All right, fine. So it's not the ring. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. The Hall of Fame is always delivers some legendary speeches, but then there's some that are just like, okay, Mr. T, please thank your mom another
time. Listen, Mr. T wasn't even the worst one. Like, honestly, I know it went on and on, but
mama.
But there's just some, dude. Some of these ones, Hillbilly Jim's still going.
Yeah, they need one of those, like, they need the music to start playing, like the Academy Awards or some shit, like where it's like, you're like, you know what? And I also like to thank, and in the background it's like, and you're like, oh, that's my cue to go. All right, sorry. Because they don't give them a time limit. They can just fucking go as long as they want.
Now I think they have like their speech that's like, fed into the teleprompter, and so they kind of like give them like, okay,
where's the prompter?
The prompter is by like under hard cam.
They can't see that far.
Well, they can see. They make it.
There's no way. Anyway.
Or they'll have one of the gimmicks like the president has when it's over.
Over to the side or whatever.
Yeah, there's like things.
I was. How many times I've watched. And any president, no matter what, I've always watched. I'm like, damn, bro, how do you memorize that whole fucking thing? It's like, I didn't see the things on the sides. I'm like, oh, well, he's got bulletproof glass around him. That's cool.
Wow. Tremendous.
How did I exist? As my wife would probably say, like, how did you get to this age? Like, how do you get past all the stupidity that is in your brain? All right. So anyway, we've talked, obviously, Josh got a big weekend coming up. Cage match on Monday was fantastic. We've talked a little bit about our favorite WrestleManias. It is WrestleMania season, guys. So get in that mode. Go watch your favorite WrestleManias wherever you can and whenever you can, because these are the showcase of the immortals, the showcase that is just, it puts everybody on a pedestal. There's so many storylines that we didn't even touch on that we could definitely save as WrestleMania season approaches.
Oh, yeah.
And just programming note, the Wrestling Hour is also coming up to its end of season 2 in a couple weeks. So we want to make sure we go out with a bang.
Do we get a vacation? What's happening here?
No. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to shift days, shift networks, shift this, shift that, and maybe you'll see me and Josh on another platform for the time being. And then the Wrestling Hour can come back and do whatever it wants. That's the beauty about being your own boss. But in reality, I do have to raise one question before we get out of here. Are you seeing any of the rumors and innuendos of WrestleMania tickets not doing so well? Are you seeing some of this stuff?
I have not seen that, no.
Well, my question or my answer to that is lower your fucking prices, WWE. There is some poverty people out there that cannot, to get out to Vegas alone cost money. You are going to a place where you're going to lose money. I remember when out there on my bachelor weekend with my best friends, and I said, as long as we come back with $0, I'm okay with that. Don't come back with debt. You know what I mean? Don't come back with like, oh, I owe a whole bunch of money to this shark over here. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to lose money regardless in Las Vegas. So for them to, and again, I get it. It's pricing. It's 2025. You're not going to find, I went to WrestleMania 41 for $55. Like, it ain't going to happen. We get that. But some of the ringside seats, dude, are like $10,000. Like, what are we doing? And that's for one night. And that's another thing I will tell the WWE, or at least try to relay it to them. I think there's got to be a structure to WrestleManias going forward. Meaning, much like, the winner of the Rumble gets to choose his or her opponent, right? I think that going forward, you need to establish what matches are going to be on what nights, because that's going to determine from the get-go, because that's going to determine what night, or if both nights you really want to go. Like, man, you got this title match over here. I really, really want to see that. And then you got, damn, it's Cody and Cena over here on night 2. I can't miss that. So that would intrigue you to go to both nights because you know it ahead of time. For them not to release that kind of shit way ahead of time as people try to plan to get out there, I think that's detrimental to your sales. Because if you just say going forward, point blank period, the winner of the Rumble will be the main event on night 2 regardless, right? That's how you know the winner of the Rumble will go to night 2. Now, if he chooses the World Heavyweight Championship, guess what? That's where night. That's where night 2 is.
They don't want to be pigeonholed to that, right? They want to be able to.
Yeah, but you got to do. I understand that, but you got to. These people are traveling. WrestleMania is a traveling thing. It's not like you're going to see your team on the road. Like, this is you're going to the WrestleMania, and 9 times out of 10, when you put out these astronomical numbered or priced doubled night tickets, like, bro, you're investing your yearly salary into that. Yeah, easily. I'm talking flights, hotels.
Because also, if you're going to do 2, well, that's the thing. You're going to do 2 nights. Right off the bat, add that extra night of a hotel. Right? You're not even in a scenario where you're like, oh, you know what? I'll fly in, I'll go to Mania, and then the next day, then I'll head straight to the airport for a red-eye or morning flight. Right. No, now it's like.
And how many times, Josh, have you said to yourself, and we said it last year, and I'm sure we've said it, on times where the Mania was in the tri-state area or something like that. You're like, I'll go to Mania, and obviously I got to go to Raw too. And obviously I got to go to SmackDown.
First of all, I always address myself as sir, but yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it is a very, very expensive weekend. WWE has to cater to the fact that their fan, now I understand there's corporate sponsorships and there's a million tickets that are sold or given to your sponsors, and like they got to look at Celebrity Row and who else is there. And I get all that. But just remember who your fans, the deep-rooted fans, are. They're the working man. You know what I mean? And I don't know if these dads out there, the common man, if you will, right? I don't know if these dads and moms are going to be like, son, daughter, if you have multiple kids, what are you supposed to do? Like you, Josh. Like, let's just say, pretend your son just, Dad, I got to go to WrestleMania this year. It's in Philly again.
Well, I just took 2 kids, two kids to SmackDown. I actually had to sell my 3rd one to be able to afford it. It's
there's a market for that,
dude. It's crazy. The prices, they're insane, and they're just going up. But here's, to all that point, I used to, when I was in college and then a few years post college, there's about an 8-year run where me and my brother and my friends, we would just kind of plan this, the Arnold Classic, always, the bodybuilding and sports expo, is always in Columbus, Ohio, every year, first weekend of March. And we would go, and that would be a guys' weekend, right? That we would just go, we'd get the hotel there, we'd go hang out.
You guys go to the Arnold Classic every year for 8 years? You, your brother, none of you guys even lift weights. What are we going to the Arnold Classic for?
Oh, look at this guy. None of you guys even lift weights.
Holla! You hear me?
You don't even know what's going on under here right now. All I'm saying is the face is getting thinner. Anyway, so we would go there, and the reason we would go to the Arnold, first of all, WWE guys were always there. So you go and meet them at time. Triple H, Batista was there, Lesnar was there, all these different people. Last time I was there, actually, I saw Mark Henry. That's when we had a booth there. For the
disrespect,
network.
by the way, for him not to be included on a top heel turn of all time. What?
Yeah.
What?
That was pretty stupid.
Left off a top 10 list, by the way. We'll get into that another day.
But by the way, over at the MyFandom YouTube channel right now, just uploaded my interview with the Nation of Domination.
Ooh, I gotta see
not
that.
Interview, the panel discussion from last year's Squared Circle
nice.
Expo. So
that's
up there now. Where I called Ron Simmons the first African American world champion, and he responded, "Black." To which I said, "Well, that's what happens when you have a white Jew hosting the Nation of Domination panel."
Just trying to be PC.
But he was right. But he goes, "Nah, man, we can't even figure out what we want to call ourselves sometimes." I was like, "Okay, we're good." But
exhale.
Yeah, and then I saw like a WWE put out like a video thing about him at some point, like at a different time, and they're like, "The first African American." I was like, "Okay, that's okay."
I did. All right, good.
But no, Ron Simmons, man, he is the freaking man. But anyway, I digress. My point about the Arnold was we would go, and I would say by year 3, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I really enjoyed the guys' weekend. But Mangle loved going to the
Mangle lifts weights. Mangle's a car.
He's an exercise physiologist and owns his own.
So he may dabble. He may dabble.
He owns his own strength and conditioning company. But yeah. But
ooh, I owe him a tank top. Ooh, fuck. Shit.
Yeah,
right, anyway,
you do. He actually never got the tank top from you, did he?
I know. I did think I might have sold it or something. I don't know what I did.
Where's my tank top, by the way? I was told I get a tank top as part of my payday.
What? No.
That's
anyway.
So what I used to say to the guys was, guys, I know it's a little more expensive. But what if instead of going to the same place every single year for this guys' weekend, since we are all friends because of our love of pro wrestling, why don't we go to Wrestlemania every single year? That can be the guys' weekend. We go to a different city every year. It's always going to be a different event that we're going to be seeing, and it breaks up the god-awful monotony of going to the Arnold, right? And back then it was kind of met with, look, we're college, or we're all starting our careers, and they didn't have that much money, and it was all kind of like, that's a little more expensive than just hopping in the car and drive, especially depending on where's it going to be. Right.
Right.
So we never ended up doing it. And I look at it now, I was talking with the guys recently. And we're looking at it going like, we are now grown ass men with careers and money. Now, granted, we don't have disposable income anymore because we all have families, but
fair.
But even if we did, we have been priced out of the like, this is no longer like a, hey, let's do a fun guys weekend where maybe we drop a couple $100, like between food, access to the Arnold, gas money, and all of us splitting a hotel. It's really not that expensive, right? Versus going to Mania where we could go get some nosebleeds for $300, and then so my point is it has killed any opportunity for people to do like these big group trips and like
I know.
I don't understand how anyone can afford anything. I sat there at SmackDown looking at these people in the floor seats going, what do you do for a living? Because I know what I do for a living.
What about homeboy in the green smiley shirt? There's rumors he's an employee.
Had won the lottery or something.
something.
I don't know what's going on there, but it's insane. But I do want to just say one thing about SmackDown. A shout out to the folks that made it an incredible experience for my kids, specifically one Drew McIntyre, who had a media day earlier in the day, so could not get there to see my kids before the show. So instead goes, you want to swing by the Talent Hotel afterwards and we'll hang out for a bit? So that's what we did. My daughter couldn't believe, Charlotte walks in and smiles at my daughter, and I was like, you can go say hi to her. And she was way too nervous, so she didn't. And by the time I convinced her, Charlotte was up the elevator already. But but she was like, I was not expecting to see her here. I'm like, well, it is the Talent Hotel, like they're coming in. But Drew came in, hung out with my kids. He and I hung out. As my daughter goes to me, she goes, you guys are like really friends. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, no, but like you like hugged a couple times. And like he comes in, gave a hug, hello, and then like, yeah.
No. Josh gets that one hug and he's just like, don't let go. Just don't let go.
Never. And I'm just let go. God, and I'm just arms wrapped around his thighs.
We've seen the pictures. It's literally the poster for the twins with Arnold and Danny DeVito.
My daughter took the picture of us, right?
No, that's a great picture.
And so Drew's like, let's look at it. And she's like, I think I did a good job. We look at her like, this is great, right? I said, no, I was like, the only weird thing is like, I don't know why I look so much shorter than you in this picture. I'm like, because I'm standing next to you right now, and I'm kind of like, we're more or less the same. He's like, it's just perspective. It's just the perspective of it, because I'm looking at him, I'm going like, I'm looking at his arms.
Mode on the phone.
I'm looking at his arms and I'm just like, is this a mirror? Like, what's happening here? Right? Like,
start doing this shit. Like,
yeah, I'm just, it really was like
another crazy moment from WrestleMania 9 with the multiple doinks. Remember?
That was awesome. That was
very
awesome.
cool. Very cool. Anyway,
but no, Drew was amazing. He, my 4-year-old, who was not there, but my 4-year-old made a poster for us to bring. And he didn't really quite understand what the poster was. So he treated it more like a kind of like making like a birthday card for someone. So he drew a picture of a cat and had a word bubble like sticker that he put on it. And then he wrote kitty cat, like it was saying that. And then signed Love Logan, right?
That's amazing.
And he goes to me, they write their names up here. Like he left this big space. So he was just like, if you're going to meet anybody, like I want them to sign my poster. So I even held up his poster. Like it was the most ridiculous thing, but at SmackDown, I just held it up.
I wish there was a picture of that.
And it gets
frozen.
even better.
I'm frozen, by the way. No big deal.
I know. It's fine. Let it go.
At least I'm smiling.
Yeah, frozen. Get it?
Got it.
So good. So we're off the rails here. So
once you get past that wrestling hour, it's just like,
I know, we're gonna wrap it up here, but you guys are gonna like this story, and I'll send you a picture of this afterwards. I'm not gonna post it, but I will tell our friends here about it. So Drew writes to Logan, signs real big in his face, Drew McIntyre, and he looks and he goes, I might as well draw a cat. So he then draws like a Garfield-style giant cat head and makes a word bubble and writes kitty cat on the thing.
That is so funny, dude.
And I took a picture of him drawing. I told him, I said, dude, I'm going to take a picture of you drawing this because no one will ever believe that you did this. And he, so he drew that. My son was like, over the moon.
These kids, I'm telling you, man, they make wrestling so much better now because it's like my daughter's 5 and she was sitting down. First of all, you want to talk about melt heart moment. She's walking down the stairs right before bedtime. It's like 8:50, almost 8:55. She comes downstairs. She goes, Daddy, are you watching wrestling? I said, yeah, it's a commercial right now. I'm watching NXT. Right. She's like, can I watch wrestling with you? And I was like, oh my God, I want to cry. Yeah. I was like, yeah, of course. Sit down, kid. Let me teach you something. So it just so happened it was the Moose title match, right?
Yeah.
Moose and
Obi.
I'm sorry. Yes, him. Drawing a blank. Sorry. She goes, who do you want to win? I said, honestly, I kind of want the guy in the white pants to win. Daddy knows him. I've worked with him. Talking about Moose. And she goes, you know him? And I was like, yeah, we've met a couple times. He's worked on some of the shows. She goes, I don't know if I ever want to meet a wrestler. They're all scary. And I said, Stell, I was a wrestler. Am I scary? She goes, no. And I was like, what the fuck you mean I'm not scary? I was like, who are you talking to right now? I'm Destruction. No, anyway,
and when she wakes up, she'll know.
Anyway, kids, they say the darndest things.
And
anyway,
but no, like my daughter said, man, she's like, when she goes, you guys are like really friends. I'm like, yeah, like what did you? She's like, well, no, I believed you, but like, she was trying to explain like she couldn't picture it in her mind because she's like, he's not what I expected at all. And
that's
what was great though was
he wrestling.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy. I'm like, she had been trying to picture, her dad driving along, down the highway with this angry Scottish psychopath, kind of like
10 monster.
Yeah, and she's like trying to picture, and I'm like, what do you think? He's just sitting in the back going like, all the time. And like, but she saw me and him just picking up like no time had passed and just laughing and joking about stuff and whatever. And like, and she's seeing, now she's like, wait a minute, this like looks like two friends hanging out. Yeah. But that guy happens to look like Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? Right. Like it was really cool for her, to see that. And then for me to just be like, yeah, I'm not lying when I say that, you know what I mean? Like
Daddy's not full of shit.
Yeah.
Awesome, so, and that's why wrestling will forever live on for guys like me and you and any dads out there that want to like raise them in a way of just like making sure they don't get too attached. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes they're gonna gravitate to the shit they like. So
my son says he's gonna be a pro wrestler. I was like, after meeting Drew, I'm like, do you still feel like you can do this? I'm wondering if he's thinking to himself like, oh my God, like now that I'm seeing a wrestler in person,
I gotta get taller.
I don't know. I was like, do you still feel like you could do this? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I love that he saw Drew, was like, whoop that ass. Like, he's not worried at all.
How old your son?
He'll be 8 next month.
So 8, 10 years. War on the Shore 12. I will book your son to wrestle. So
sweet.
We'll figure that, and you'll manage him from your cane walking down to the beach. Anyway,
that could be next year.
That could be next year. This has been another loaded, all over the place episode of the Wrestling Hour. I hope you guys enjoyed it on ad-free shows early. First access for adfreeshows.com. And of course, if you like the video on YouTube when it drops, please like it, share it, do all the things you're supposed to do to help the show grow. Subscribe to the channel. We are almost right there, 25,000 subscribers on the old MyFandom YouTube channel, which you can also find the Fight Factory podcast. We had a hell of a show last week. A lot of views, don't know why. But I guess, a lot of people were talking about the John Cena heel turn. So sometimes all it takes is a caption and a headline, really.
I do want to say, since we're way over here, I do want to say one thing that I find fascinating. You work so hard putting together, you have this great studio and you work hard putting together this, the Fight Factory show. We do this and we cut up clips and we put that stuff out there. And then I do So Says Shernoff, right? And I write a script and I put a lot of thought into things. I put out a random video about the actress saying the thing at AEW.
Boom. I saw the numbers.
15,000 views in 24 hours. And I literally was in my car right before I went into the gym and was just like, you know what? Let me get something out now. Like, why not? I'll just make a silly little thing, right?
Production means jack shit now. It is
nothing.
In the car. Let's post it up. Let's split it on CapCut or whatever the fuck you use. And then bang, you got yourself a viral video. Insane. So, by the way, that girl's a dunce. For Dave Sturchio and Josh Shernoff, this has been another episode of the Wrestling Hour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like we said, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. Help the show grow. Tweet at us. We'll conversate. We'll talk a little bit. We'll talk some wrestling with you over there on the old Twitter space. So, that'll do it. We'll see you guys next time.